You know, every single meal you eat has a story, but a huge part of that story, maybe the most important part, is completely invisible. It's the story of its freshness, its journey, and its safety. A story that, up until now, we've really only seen the very end of. But what if I told you that's all about to change? Today, we're going to look at the tech that lets us finally see the unseeable. Just think about this for a second. What if a camera could look at an apple and not just see that it's red, but see its future? What if it could spot the absolute earliest chemical signs of spoilage days before it ever becomes a problem for you or me? Well, it turns out our food holds all these deep chemical secrets, and a really revolutionary technology is finally giving us the key to unlock them. It's going to help make sure that what reaches our plates is safer and fresher than ever before. Okay, let's dive into this. We all know what a bruised apple or a moldy piece of bread looks like, right? But that visible decay, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real problem, the one we need to solve, starts way, way earlier than that. You see, spoilage is, at its core, a chemical process. It kicks off with these tiny, microscopic changes in a food's molecular structure, long before our eyes can see a blemish or our noses can pick up on a bad smell. And these invisible changes, they're the real culprits behind billions of dollars in food waste, and honestly, countless food safety risks every single year. So what if we could see those chemical changes the moment they start? Well, a groundbreaking technology is making that possible. It's called hyperspectral imaging, or HSI for short, and it's basically giving us a brand new kind of vision. So what even is HSI? The best way to think about it is like the ultimate mashup of a super high-tech camera and a chemical sensor. It doesn't just snap a picture, it actually captures the unique chemical signature of every single pixel in that picture. Okay, so here's the crucial difference. The camera in your phone, it sees the world in just three broad colors: red, green, and blue. That's it. An HSI camera, on the other hand, sees the world in hundreds of very narrow, very specific wavelengths of light. This gives it a kind of chemical supervision, allowing it to see this whole molecular world that is completely hidden from you and me. So, how does seeing more colors actually translate into seeing spoilage? Well, it turns out every single chemical compound out there has its own unique fingerprint. The process is actually pretty fascinating. Imagine food moving down a conveyor belt. The HSI system scans it, one line at a time, and for every single point in that line, it captures a massive amount of chemical data. All this information is then digitally stacked together to build what scientists call a hypercube, which is basically a 3D model that is both a picture and a complete chemical map of the food. Now, this is where it gets really cool. The whole concept is based on something called a spectral signature. See, every single molecule, whether it's water, sugar, protein, or even a dangerous toxin, it absorbs and reflects light in its own special way. This creates a really distinct pattern, a chemical fingerprint, that an HSI system can instantly read and identify. So think about it. Spoilage is just a chemical transformation, right? The chemical fingerprint of a fresh apple is different from the fingerprint of one that's starting to rot. HSI is so incredibly sensitive that it can detect the absolute tiniest change in these fingerprints, flagging a problem days or even weeks before we could ever see it with our own eyes. I know this all sounds super technical, but its real-world applications are a total game changer for food safety and quality. Let's look at a few examples. For fruits and vegetables, HSI is like this incredible early warning system. It can spot a bruise that's forming deep under an apple's skin, detect chilling injury in a cucumber, or even identify microscopic fungal colonies on a tomato days before they turn into visible mold. And it goes beyond spoilage. It can even detect dangerous and totally invisible contaminants like fecal matter on spinach, a major cause of foodborne illness. And the accuracy, it can be absolutely astonishing. For instance, in studies looking for a specific type of mold on oranges, HSI systems have hit a perfect 100% success rate at spotting the infected fruit before the problem can spread. 100%. But maybe its biggest impact is in grain safety. You know, the old method was basically just a guess. You take a tiny sample from a massive silo and just hope it represents the whole batch. The problem is, contamination isn't uniform. HSI completely changes the game by letting us do a 100% inspection, scanning every single kernel to turn a risky guess into a total certainty. Yeah, and this isn't just a small improvement. Experts are calling it a true paradigm shift. We're literally moving from guessing if a batch of food is safe to knowing it is.
And that means processors can find and remove only the few bad kernels, saving millions of pounds of perfectly good food from being thrown away.
And the results are just stunningly precise. In maize, for example, HSI can spot individual kernels that are contaminated with dangerous mycotoxins like aflatoxin with over 95% accuracy. I mean, that's a huge deal for protecting both the food supply and public health. So, if this tech is so powerful, you're probably wondering, why isn't it on every production line in the world? Well, there have been some pretty big hurdles, but a powerful new ally is helping to tear them down: artificial intelligence.
The main roadblocks have really been the high cost of the cameras, the absolute wave of data they produce, and the incredible challenge of trying to analyze all that information in real time on a fast-moving factory floor.
And this is exactly where AI comes in. Artificial intelligence is the key that's finally unlocking the full, scalable potential of hyperspectral imaging.
See, this is what modern AI is built for. These advanced algorithms, especially a type of AI inspired by the human brain, are perfectly suited for this task. They can analyze those massive hypercubes of data in an instant, learning to spot the faint chemical fingerprints of spoilage far faster and more accurately than any person ever could. This is what finally makes real-time decisions possible. And this powerful combo of HSI and AI, it's not just about catching bad food. It's about creating a whole new, higher standard for our entire food system. It helps slash waste by sorting food more intelligently, and it's even becoming this crucial tool for innovation, helping developers perfect new products like plant-based meats. This technology is moving us closer and closer to a future of total transparency and trust in what we eat, which really leaves us with a final thought. What does our food system look like? What becomes possible when we can truly see the unseeable and guarantee the quality of every single item of food, all the way from the farm to our fork?